Beastars is about a gray wolf named Legoshi, who decides he's done chasing a bad guy after almost getting killed by him twice, but changes his mind after certain events, including his best friend almost doing the worst thing he could possibly do. At the college's greenhouse, Haru is logging plant data when she hears a thud, and finds her zebra professor who apparently fell off the roof, and this mysterious figure and a bird feather. Anyway, back to Melon throwing Legoshi off a cliff and into the ocean, where these fish start trying to talk to him, but Legoshi doesn't understand, and this shark tries to eat him. So he yells the fish phrase Sagwan taught him, which convinces the shark to save his life. Okay then. So Legoshi goes to Sagwan and asks what the phrase means.
All it means is that you have a special friend who just happens to be a spotted seal.
Because seals are important in the sea because they act as a bridge between ocean creatures and land creatures. Then Legoshi goes to the bathroom to check out his ear and think about how evil Melon is, which gets him pissed about it and he punches a mirror. Again. Anyway, at the city hall, Louis is getting some award for exposing what keenness is, even though his father yelled at him for it like a week ago, and is now the official candidate for the next Beastar, because I guess we're still doing that? Turns out, getting dropped into the ocean isn't good for you, because Legoshi has a cold now. Louis visits Legoshi in his apartment because he's worried about him, since he's been having phantom pains in his leg. So Legoshi tells him about getting shot twice, that he fell into the ocean, and the Shishigumi. So Louis figures out Legoshi is talking about Melon and is surprisingly understanding about it. At least he's not being an asshole.
I'm scared.
My friend, what are you afraid of?
Oh, they're friends now. I mean, I guess he's been kind of nicer. Anyway, back at the college, there's a rumor that the zebra committed suicide, but Haru doesn't seem so sure. Gee, I wonder why that might be. And at the zebra's memorial site, she shares the suspicion with,
Professor Lomrong.
Sure, and now he wants to hear about it.
If you don't mind, let's have a chat in my office,
Yeah, this is gonna be fantastic. Meanwhile, Legoshi is still doing the delivery boy thing and makes a delivery to a bug reserve, where this rhino falls out of a tree trying to catch a butterfly. And since Legoshi is really good at enotology, he helps catch the butterfly. So now he wants to work there, which he would probably be really good at. By the way, certain species having certain things be toxic to them is a thing in this world, like chives for felines or onions for canines. Just keep that in mind for later. Back at the high school, Bill and Els convince the headmaster to let the drama club do some play that shows the importance of friendship between carnivores and herbivores. But they have to practice separately for the play they're gonna do together. How the hell is that supposed to work? Anyway, Bill tells Juno to get Pina back for it, but I don't think this matters. At the college, Melon, I don't know what kind of vitamins he's taking, but 5 seems like too much. Anyway, Melon is thinking about how college students interact.
They're no longer children, and not quite adults. But when carnivores interact with herbivores, the carnivore's gaze finds its way to the most appetizing parts, while the herbivore remains wholly unaware.
Sure, until Haru comes in to talk to him about the zebra's suicide. She shows Professor Lomrong here the feather she found at the scene.
So if we assume this was a crime, then that means whoever did this is still out there on the loose. If they think you saw what they did, their sights could be set on you.
Because scaring the crap out of her doesn't seem suspicious at all. Well, Haru's suspicious now and wants to leave. But then she starts talking about death and how she feels about it, which gets Melon interested in her. And then Haru gets distracted by the weather. Does she have ADD? What the hell? She'll be fine. So there's this business that is dedicated to allowing animals of different species to have a place to give in to their instincts. Like kangaroos having hammocks or squirrels having treadmills. They're essentially freak out rooms, and the canine one is that they play fetch with a ball. It's so damn weird. Anyway, after playing this with his roommates for a while, Legoshi invites Jack to see his place. And Jack has an onion for some reason, but Legoshi just pockets it and tells Jack his goals.
If I want to work at the insect museum, I need a high school diploma. Should have thought about that before I dropped out.
Remember what I said about dropping out backfiring on him? Anyway, Legoshi notices something is wrong, and Jack starts telling him that one of his special classes has all dogs in it, where they learn about the secrets of history that no one else knows, and they're just expected to write it down and not care, because dogs have been bred to be obedient and mostly emotionless. So to make himself cry, Jack has a panic attack, takes the onion Legoshi found and slices it with a knife. But the way he's doing it, he is going to cut his finger off. Also, not to take away from this scene, but this is the sharpest pocket knife in the world. How does it just cut through an onion like that? Legoshi tries to calm Jack down, but instead, Jack tries to kill himself by eating the onion until Legoshi forces him to throw it up. Holy God, Jack needs to drop that class now. What the hell are they teaching him? Jeez. Legoshi just let Jack go off on his own after that. Oh good, the Civit's back, because Yaya is looking for who's responsible for the Melda drug. You know, that gross deer dung thing. But Deshigo plays dumb and gives Yaya some Kopi Luwak, which he has a slight carnivore reaction to.
Why would it affect an herbivore?
Is it because my carrots absorbed meat nutrients?
Yeah, stupid. Maybe stop killing carnivores and using them for your death garden. Alright, the conversation turns to Melon and if he has any weaknesses. But more on that later. Speaking of whom, it's heavily implied that Melon pushed the zebra professor off the roof for being a racist dick. But then where did the feather come from? Did he just have it and dropped it? Okay, so Melon asks Haru to close this 4-story window and then proceeds to just stand there and watch her damn near fall out of it trying. What an ass. And then grabs her in a predatory way. But Haru pushes him off of her and tries to play it cool. So in response, this absolute maniac takes a box cutter and stabs himself in the leg with it. What kind of reaction is that? What is he doing? So Haru gets the hell out of there. Meanwhile, Yaya tracks down Legoshi, and Legoshi tells him he's scared he's turning into too much of a psycho and will end up like Melon. I see no chance of that happening. Anyway, Haru is waiting for Legoshi when he gets home, and Legoshi smells Melon on her but can't decipher it's him. So he gets slightly upset, which pisses Haru off, which leads to good God. I'm just gonna lie and say nothing happens, but we're skipping anyway. Legoshi's 18 now, remember? We made that clear before? Yeah, okay. The next morning, Legoshi wakes up with blood on his hands because he ate Haru in his sleep. So he's freaking out until Haru walks in because that's not blood but tomato juice that she spilled on herself. But they have breakfast together and make plans to have a date at the Festival of the Meteor, which makes this idiot want to go after Melon again. Anyway, the Shishigumi are at a grave.
You know, Melon, he never even bothered to learn Hino's name.
To be fair, I didn't know this character's name either, and it took longer than it should have for me to realize it was the lion whose head was in the box. But Agata is gonna shave his mane off in solidarity until the others stop him. And they make a plan to kill Melon and get Louie to be their boss again. Until Legoshi's dumbass, who was eavesdropping, tells them no. So, he's dead. At the city hall, the mayor is talking with Louie and Ogma about some Zoolympics and introducing fake meat that looks and tastes like real meat, because there's no way that could go wrong. And the mayor wants Louie to be the ambassador of all this. Gee, I wonder what he and Ogma were talking about earlier. But anyway, the drama club is rehearsing for their play on ancient friendships. But Pina says the carnivores and herbivores should switch roles, I think just to piss everyone off, but they decide that's a great idea and do it. Whatever, I thought we were done with this high school drama crap. Louie gets a text from Free that they have Legoshi, so he meets them at the black market. After all of them making promises they can't keep, the Shishigumi says they'll only tell Legoshi where Melon is if Louie goes back to being their boss. Which I do like Louie better as a gangster, and Melon is pretty good at this teaching thing. Mostly. But Louie refuses because Ibuki died when he quit. But Free is nice enough to give Legoshi a hint at least.
So about Melon. Apparently he's called Professor in polite society.
Because Legoshi going after Melon went so well the first 2 times. The first third of this half of the season, so I guess this 1/6 of the season, isn't too bad. I like the murder mystery thing they do with Haru and Melon. It's interesting watching Melon trying to act sympathetic to Haru's concerns while also not trying to be suspicious. Although he kind of fails and makes her suspicious anyway. It gives Melon more of a reason to be interested in Haru than just he's her professor, and how him grabbing her mirrors when Legoshi did that in the first season. Stabbing himself over her rejection was a bit of an overreaction though. I like that Legoshi just kind of chills for a while. After the intensity of him going after Melon and almost getting killed twice, it's nice seeing him doing just normal everyday things like going to work or hanging out with friends. The bee strike scene is so weird when Legoshi and his old roommates are playing fetch with a ball. But it's a funny scene and it seems the voice actors had fun recording the lines for it. Then it shows the darker side of things, with Jack expressing his frustration and fear with what he's learning in his special class. But he really should drop that class. Good God. The voice acting is still great. Ben Diskin has done a fantastic job as Jack. He can show Jack's excitement when Jack and his roommates meet up with Legoshi and play games with him. And he generally sounds sad, then distraught when Jack is telling Legoshi about his special class and when Jack eats an onion. Max Middleman is really good as Deshiko. I like the intrigue he has in his voice every time Deshiko gives someone his Kobe Luwak, and the snarkiness when talking with Yaya and theorizing if he's a mix. Matthew Watterson does a really good job as Yaya. The way he sounds when Yaya is being friendly with Legoshi is really well done. You can hear that Yaya is trying to be nicer to him, but I think he still doesn't really like him. You can hear that Yaya really doesn't like Melon when talking about him with Deshiko. The visual effects are really well done. The underwater effects look great. They use the same effect of overlaying the characters over a moving background, but they added details like bubbles coming out of Legoshi's mouth and having additional bubbles and specks floating around to really give that underwater feel. I'm impressed with the way the dust moves when it's disturbed, and the blood coming out of Legoshi's ear really looks like he's underwater. They also do a good job with making the movement floaty but make the fish movement look more natural than Legoshi jumping around. And how the water breaks when the shark is swimming at the surface is really well done. The tears in Jack's eyes when he's cutting the onion looks very cartoony. They don't look like they're coming out of his eyes. They look like water effects laid over the bottom of his eyes, and have additional animations of tears going down his face. It doesn't look quite right, but with this animation style, I don't know what the fix for that would be. But yeah, Jack had a massive breakdown over his special class that he should probably drop, but it was part of motivating Legoshi to hunt down Melon again, which I'm sure is gonna go great for him.
If you want to see an uncensored version of this video, or any of my other videos, check out my Patreon. If not, I appreciate you watching my video here too. Don't forget to do the YouTube stuff, and thanks for watching.